What's good, YouTube? And welcome to BANLIST BRAINROT season, where people have been staring at that list a little too long, and not the best player brain applications either have gone into it, at least in my opinion. Spiral Quick Fix, really, the quarter century secret rare has gone, and I also want to say if you're doing a buyout, you probably want to do it further in advance so the cards are actually in your hand to list when the ban list gets here, because we know the list is end of August, and I get people are going stir crazy, but spending 50% more on these cards all the way up to 45 from 30, and now it's bought out to the point of 1 at 50 before they're 78. I find this utterly ridiculous. Spiral Master Plan, who still is on the forbidden list, is picking up in sales this month as well. You can see way more sales than the last month, which we can quickly scroll through a lot faster than the month before. But yeah, I just don't see that, like, oh, Summon Sorceress, she's getting eroded, it was so good with the deck. The errata does something completely different, and I do get this actually was bought out at one point when the errata happened. You can even see the huge bump in the graph, and it's done nothing but come down. And if we get an errata, we're probably getting a reprint that we also can get somewhat easier, but this has also ticked way up in sales here recently for the Jump promo version. So when it comes down to it, people are kind of typing up anything on the list at this point and starting to spend their hard-earned money on it, and I do urge you to actually read Summon Sorceress's errata and maybe consider your play loops versus the current power in the game, and maybe not overestimate what this ban list is going to do overall versus it. Now, Dragon Master Magia is an interesting one to me because it keeps getting bought out to the point of $800. Here we see every single 700-ish one that got listed is snap called and bought out once again in the last few days. And I want to reiterate, it only takes a couple of deep interested pockets to pull together to make something like this happen. Let's say 3 to 5 people have 20 grand and they're like, we're going to snap everyone under 800, and then the blue eye stuff is going to be here and we're going to just keep buying at that point, and then the hype people won't be able to restrain themselves and hopefully it's not reprinted by then, and then we've got to stock. It's that simple when it's a card that is this low of population and this few going there. So I feel kind of like that's happening more than independent FOMO personally, but let me know what you think. Is it people starting to go, yeah, okay, as long as if one pops up under 800, I'll go ahead and get it at this point? Or do you think it's like a couple of rich people who are trying to push it that way? Because it is interesting, the sales rate in the mid 700 ranges that keep pushing it up to only $800 listings being available. I'd love to hear your theory on it. Of course, all we can do is speculate, and speculation doesn't always turn out right. It could just be FOMO on this card too. Retro Pack went up in price on GameStop to $25. I think this is sick. Now, there are some OTS 24 pack boxes that got distributed. It's not clear how they were. Gamer's Choice, for example, didn't even get the offer on that as far as they're aware, and they got none of it. And a ton of huge stores got absolutely no offer on that. And here we see the big retailers taking advantage. Now, to be fair, it's still in stock, online, shipped to your front door from Target at $18. And I also heard GameStop sometimes does this price upping before putting it on sale, which I don't think is ethical at all, but hey, if there is a sale coming, I guess we'll keep our eyes out for it. But a lot of their stuff has been priced up lately, apparently, and Retro Pack among that. MSRP is $17.96. $25 is pretty gross to see from a retailer. Now, within Retro Pack, I've bought a couple more cards myself. I bought a Blue Eyes at $25. I honestly think it should be lower, like 18 to 20, but I didn't want to deal with the buyouts after seeing how many are happening and knowing that no major vendors will have their hands on this set to rip open. I wanted to secure some of the stuff I personally wanted, and I'll go through that. But I am seeing buyouts on Sangan. This is the 5th one. in a week. That's why I didn't want to deal with any buyouts that were going to happen with what I was personally going for. So seeing Sangan this ridiculously treated, and then it gets listed back down, people want to make their sales, and then it gets bought out. It is hilarious to watch the actual waves, and 5 separate times it go down in quantity like this, and people trying to up it in price, but then it keeps floating down so far. Then we also see that Amazon's Chainmaster Secret Rare was bought out. I actually knew that one from Ruxin. He was talking about people trying to buy stuff out on this set, and I find that somewhat interesting because I want to touch back on this last thing. He also talked about people saying that this would Moon Rocket be ridiculous, the next huge collectible. It sounds like there are people heavily invested and interested in that card, but when it comes down to it, I also bought some Scapegoats, just 3, while they were down to 18, because this is one of the first cards that did get bought out. So I bought 3 of them to have my playset for GOAT format, to have a nice ultra rare version that looks old school. Past that, I think I bought another Summon Skull and some Logins. I didn't go for Exodia, I didn't go for Red Eyes, anything like that. I think a lot of this should continue to come down, but it also could get targeted. While it's in stock at retailers, I'm personally not too worried about a price perma-spiking, but the question is, how deep are they on it? Because Walmart ran out online like this, but Target still has it even though they're limiting 3 per order, and GameStop still has it even though they're price gouging. So I'd like to see how long it does take for retailers to sell out of it. Solemn's another one I think I got 3 of, and I am kind of staring at Reborns just to have a few supers, but there's so many different versions of Reborns, and I kind of like the Prismatic Secret Rare more. Legend I actually got for LOB format, and I don't feel like it's even the best one. There's the Kaiba briefcase one for around $5, and I think that's the old school layout, and it's Ultra, and then you do have another Ultra in English, but I love how subtle the holo is on it. A lot of people complain on this one, and sometimes I like things other people don't like. I like the Legend a lot. Swords, I think, is neat, but I think LOB's just better, personally. Legendary Dragon Dex is getting a rewave, and the timing's pretty bad in terms of Konami socials and people being mad about no ban list, but I'm going to say this was actually a really good rewave by them, and I hope that the interest in Legendary Decks in general, with how much 1 and 2 have been rewaved. 2, I think, is one of the most rewaved products of all time, along with the Blue Eye structure. They're interesting because they tend to go up, even the rewaves do. But this one was selling sealed around $190. So even though there's not relevant free prints, why are they doing this? I think it's cool that this will exist on shelves again. And if anything, I actually might think that the rewave could go up over time, depending. Now, they are on TCG Player making different listings for 2020 copyright versus old copyrights on product like this, which I find is kind of cool. I do think it's nice to differentiate the runs, but for now, you could just go First Ed run, Unlimited run with how this one was actually printed. Naturia Bamboo Shoot Ultimate Rare is being bought out for the first edition. I don't know if this is a past format one or current combo of some kind. If this card is tribute summoned by tributing a Naturia monster while this card remains face up on the field, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards. I remember Naturia Sprite being a thing and actually watching it at the regionals I commentated, so I don't know if some people are trying to tech out Sprite with all the Sprite buyouts, or if this fits nichely into some past format. Let me know in the comment section down below if you know the answer on why specifically the first Ed is sprouting up in price, $30 lowest, and then quickly into the 40s and beyond. DD Assailant is for past formats and not GOAT format for once on this card. Apparently it's a side deck tech in Edison, and the super rare game promo, the second nicest version of the card, has been bought out. I've always felt like this one should have gotten bought out during the GOAT format booms, and it just never did. It always existed for very, very low sales, as you can see, but a lot of the sales are not near mint. So here we do see that it was still relatively easy to buy out near mints as low as under $10, and now they're trying to push it towards $30. We'll see how it falls out, but Edison buyouts feel like they retain a lot of their hype and try to stick the landing way higher than they were before with people scrambling after. The next nicest version, which is the nicest version, the secret rare out of DR4, is like $300 for a near mint. It's absolutely ridiculous, but DR4 is that legacy set. And then I think most others are all rares and commons. Yeah, they all are. I think the champion pack rare actually kind of has a nice look to it, but getting a holographic for your past formats is on a lot of people's list. Mobius, the Frost Monarch Ultimate Rare. I actually sold my first edition from my Ultimate Rare 2500 buy in the deals room for 90. The Unlimbs are getting bought out to where the cheapest is 72, and the next ones are kind of going there, and then the first edition is around 110, and there's a good amount of sales happening specifically on this card right now. So Mobius, it looks like people saw Caius and its buyouts and are also looking at monarchs that are active within these formats and can be teched in, and they are definitely going for this. I believe this is also viable within GOAT format for side decking. Signet Backdoor is the final card I wanted to go ahead and talk about. We did mention it was a penny stonk with Malice stuff, so I wanted to follow up. Both versions are super rares, and the sales rates really are pushing up as people continue to go into it and go with Malice hype. So be aware that this has gone all the way from like quarters to almost dollars here, and a lot of people are spending around that. You can see 12 at 99 cents, and people trying to get on that hype train for Malice because it does seem to be a very, very much look forward to in the OCG. And then I wanted to bring up, since I got to the cards, Accesscode Talker's figure is actually on the US Good Smile shop. This is a model kit, so I believe you will need to build. It looks freaking amazing, real, and yeah, $53, and then shipping that will be cheaper from international. This is not sponsored at all, just a huge fan that Yu-Gi-Oh keeps getting awesome merch, and if you want to get this one without dealing with any Japanese websites or upsales, Good Smile is offering it direct. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy more of these conversations and theory on stuff. And again, Retro Pack is mostly for myself and decks and collections that I'm grabbing. I'm not like, oh yeah, we're gonna make mega stonks out of this. But with the quantity so low currently versus no mass listers able to get their hands on it unless they're going out and buying it, versus that deep retail stock that seems to be present, it'll be interesting to watch this set for sure.